What's up, Weekend Warriors? Thanks for joining us for episode number 59 of the Weekendology podcast. Weekendology is the only podcast with the hottest takes, the best talking points, and the stories to spark your weekend conversations. We cover everything related to all the best topics from music, movies, sports, food, and more. I'll be your host, Will Dicey, alongside the one and the only Aaron Berg. Aaron, what's up, man? How's your week going?
It's pretty good.
It's
moving along.
It is moving along.
59. Here. That's a weird number, isn't it?
It is a very weird
number. That's got
to
be the most random number out there.
Between
1 and 100.
Yeah, it's pretty just pick a number between 1 and 100. And
if you see a guy
59.
wearing a jersey with number 59,
I mean, he's usually probably going to be a bench player or a practice
or
player.
Or he's just the flashiest dude out there.
I mean, yeah, he just could be, doing trick moves and who knows what's out there. But 59 episodes is pretty good, though, for us.
Yeah.
We've made it past the 50 milestone.
Yep.
We're into the
along.
back half of the 50s, I guess, or of the century of podcasts.
We're getting into the JFK era.
Oh, we are, yeah. We're
right there.
Yeah, hippies are all amongst us.
Hippies are congregate. They're starting to congregate.
Yes, so we're happy to have you guys along for episode 59 of the podcast here. Thanks to all of our returning listeners for joining us this week. And if you're new to the show, welcome. The show is all about changing, improving, making things better as we cover all the best topics from around the pop culture and the sports world. I got a challenge for all the listeners out there, too. We've got 59 episodes that we've recorded. Well, 58, I guess, and some change. So go check out all of our last 58 episodes because I think you're going to find some conversation topics in there.
That's just the challenge?
That's the challenge.
Or is it check out all of them?
Check out all of them,
right.
yes.
That's a true challenge.
If you haven't listened to all of our last 58 episodes, then find an episode you haven't listened to, go listen to it, and we want to hear what your thoughts are. Because
just go through the greatest hits. Just go through and listen again.
Yes,
Maybe you missed something.
Do a binge marathon. Just go full Weekendology binge.
It's like Breaking Bad. Every so often you just flip it on. We know you've seen it, but you might miss something throughout
58 great different types of topics, and I guarantee you're going to find something to spark your weekend conversation. Educate your friends, family, your dog.
Sparking your yearly conversation with 58 episodes.
Exactly. That's more than a year, so we are happy to have you guys along, but go check out our last 58 episodes because there's some great ones in there. Laughs, tears of joy.
I mean, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into it.
We have, so. Yes. One quick note is actually, sadly, it's the 1-year anniversary of Kobe dying, and we did a What's Trending with that last year. So that was a pretty powerfully, emotionally charged episode, actually, and talked about his legacy and a lot of the other great things that he did in his life. So
definitely one of very, very few moments in my life where I will always, for the rest of my life, remember where I was when that happened.
Yep. Yeah.
Also,
where were you for 9/11? Where were you when Kobe died?
Fun fact, I texted you when that happened because TMZ tweeted it, and I saw it 2 minutes after they tweeted it, and you said, "No, I don't think it's up," because they took it down.
They did. Usually, that's like hoax
Isn't
things.
That crazy?
Hoaxes like that happen too. Like I didn't believe when Paul Walker died before.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, it's a hoax and everything. And then it was like, oh, it actually happened.
So, I broke the Kobe news.
You did break the Kobe news to me. Although they did report that Rick Fox died too.
Yeah, I know. Poor Rick
and then
Fox.
Rick Fox was like, hey guys, I'm still alive here.
Could you imagine what his cell phone looked like that day, just blowing up?
Rick, are you still alive? Like, yes, I'm still here.
Like, why am I in on this?
He was rewatching his cameo appearance in Holes, from 15 years ago.
He's in Holes?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, Rick Fox is in Holes. He plays a baseball player, though.
He's a baseball player?
He does. He plays like a baseball player.
See, well, that's because he was with Vivica A.
Oh, that's right.
So he got the Hollywood, and he's a good-looking guy. But it's funny, though. Like, I feel like I've seen him in way more than he deserves to be in.
I mean,
because he's not a great actor, and he also is a very average basketball player.
Rick Fox was awesome. I liked him on the Lakers and stuff. That was a great time.
Doug Christie delivered it just mammoth uppercut to the man. So
that is true. Yeah.
Don't mess with old Dougie.
He knocked him out like McGregor got knocked out this past
weekend. Whoa. Too soon.
Too soon.
To all you trolls out there too, stop saying McGregor's done. Stop saying he's overrated. Stop saying all that crap. I'm sick of it.
Nah, he'll come back.
He'll
be fine.
He's the GOAT. The GOATs lose sometimes, but all these idiots, they didn't even know who Dustin Poirier was, and they're just on the McGregor hate train. It's like, no. Like he's going to be back with a vengeance.
I'm not worried about him. So Weekendology is brought to you by the Big Red World Podcasting Network. They're based out of St. Louis and got some great podcasts like The House That Rick Built and 6 Drunk, 1 Sober. Go check them out. They can be found on Twitter at Big Red Social, and their website is bigredworld.org. Don't forget, check out our webpage on the Big Red World's websites for links to our episodes, social handles, blogs about our latest content, all the latest happenings about both of us. Check it out. We would really appreciate it.
About both of us?
Big Red World and Weekendology.
Oh,
you get kind of
kill
two birds with one stone.
Like our lives. And I was like, oh, my life's not that entertaining.
I mean, you can check out my main Twitter handle at William Deishley if you really want to keep up with my personal handle.
There's some fire on that.
There is, yeah.
I do enjoy following your Twitter.
I do have a few. My
your
latest
new profile
Twitter rant,
picture, though, man, that show ended weeks ago.
Oh, I can't. I love that show. Supernatural is the greatest show of all time. So
I probably told you. I probably ripped on you for this, but I thought it was 2 gay guys at first when I saw it. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
because I'd never seen the show. I didn't know what that
was.
I was like, "Is this like supporting like gay marriage or something?"
I mean, nothing wrong with gay marriage.
Yeah, I mean, if you are,
just
more power to you.
Support it all the way around. No, but
that was my initial reaction. I was like, I need to know.
No, my latest Twitter rant actually was ripping on GameStop because their stock has been increasing randomly.
The way you started saying that, I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, well, where's your mind at,
It started with
Aaron?
a G and an A, and I was like, Will, what are you going on a rant about?
Where's your mind at, Aaron? I don't know where it is.
Yeah, on my Twitter, I was just going on a rant about gay marriage.
Oh, well, nope, it was GameStop.
Okay,
the
good.
video game.
That's good.
Retailer people or whatever. But
you hate GameStop.
They suck.
Their stock is blowing up.
Terrible though. I mean, it was some huge controversy of like it went from like record lows to like record highs in like a day. So something's fishy is going on.
It's the Reddit people, right?
It is the Reddit people.
If you're on Reddit, man, you're like, what are you doing? Like,
Reddit's very weird. I don't understand that community.
It's weird, and like that was cool in like 2013. Like, grow up.
I thought it was cool, like, back in, like, 2009 or something. Like, it's been around forever.
It probably was. It probably was cool in 2009 because I feel like whenever I hop on the, like, social media stuff, it's, like, warmed up already, you know?
Yeah,
like,
you're a few years late to the party.
Yeah, like Snapchat. It took me years to get that. Facebook, man. It took me 10 years to get Facebook.
Man,
like,
you're old and behind the times.
I am.
Well, go check out my main Twitter as well. You can go check out our main Twitter for Weekendology too at WeekendologyPod and wherever you listen to podcasts. For all you sports fans out there, we've got you covered at Weekendology Sports, and for entertainment, we've got you covered there too at Weekendology ENT. We've got a great Facebook page as well, keeping you up to date with all of our episodes, different types of happenings around in the world and whatnot. So check that out too. And as you listen to this week's episode, rate us on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening from. Hit that subscribe, follow button. Let us know that you enjoy the show and you enjoy Aaron and I. And
show us the love.
Follow us on all of our social handles. That's all we care about is followers. So
I know. I mean,
that's all
followers are power.
Yeah, numbers. Yep. I don't know.
At Aaron Levi Berg at Twitter.
Aaron Levi Berg. So I
haven't given individual Twitter shout outs in a while.
You haven't, no. Didn't your Twitter handle used to be the real Aaron Berg or something?
Yeah, that was back in the day, but that was still when the public relations dream was alive.
Oh.
So I was gonna start being a little more professional on Twitter and blah blah blah, and then I was like, you know what, this isn't going anywhere. And so I kept the professional Twitter handle, but my Twitter is not.
Dream's dead, Aaron. Time to move on. Just like how we're moving on to pick of the week.
Yeah.
Pick of the week, Aaron. So my pick of the week is a new show that just started. It's actually a remake of the old Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh man!
But
really?
We're watching the it's Walker.
I saw the preview of this.
Previews look good, and the first episode is very good. It's got my boy Jared Padalecki from Supernatural in it. So
there you go. Is he the guy in the profile pic?
He is the guy in the profile pic. Yes.
I don't like though that they're remaking Chuck Norris. Like,
I mean,
come on, man. Is it a prequel or? Is this like
the first episode? I think it's like
is it like
just,
a younger Walker, Texas Ranger?
Yeah, it's like a younger one. I think it's actually just like a remake of the show, though. They're just modernizing it and bringing other elements into it. But it's only one episode has been up.
They should make it like his son, because that show is from like the 80s. So like he's old enough where the Jared Padalecki, he could be his son. So
I mean, they might do that. They only refer to him as Walker in the show, so I don't know.
It could be Walker Jr.
It could be Walker Jr.
But you can't redo Chuck Norris. No. He's Chuck Norris, man.
Chuck Norris is God, so you can't redo God.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I am watching Walker. Great first episode, actually. It was the highest premiere of any CW show in the last, 10 years or something, and they had their highest ratings ever for it. So apparently people were pretty jazzed up about it.
Yeah, CW has some fire every so often. I feel like once in a while they'll put out a banger, and it's wow, this network...
They'll get away from, Vampire Diaries or, I don't know.
Didn't it used to be WGN, I believe?
Yeah, so it used to be WB. And then it went through a big network shift, and now it's CW. So I don't know. I don't even know what it stands for.
Is this on cable?
Yeah, it's cable. Huh. You can watch it. I mean, they have an app, so you can watch all their shows on there too. But I don't have cable, so
yeah. Didn't CW? I'm trying to think what else is on there.
I mean, they've got all the superhero shows and stuff, The Flash, and there was a couple other ones.
You'd think those shows would be on ABC or NBC or one of those.
Well, they were on ABC. A couple of them were for a while, and then they just transferred them over to CW because they just bought the rights to them. So they wanted them all in-house.
Huh.
Yeah, great show, though. Walker, go check it out. What's your pick of the week, though, Aaron?
You're going to like this one. Speaking of Kobe.
I'm ready.
So,
Kobe.
One of the greatest, I'm serious, one of the best sports documentaries. I'm not even saying sports. One of the best documentaries I've ever watched.
Wow.
And it's extremely
That's a bold statement there, Cotton.
Underrated. Extremely underrated. It's called The Final Shot. It's about Tony Parker.
Okay.
So very fitting because Tony Parker is extremely underrated.
Yeah.
Gets looked over. Dropped on Netflix pretty recently.
Really?
One of Kobe's last interviews is in this documentary. So
no way.
Yeah. So if you want to see a very, very recent Kobe interview talking about his battles with Tony Parker, go check it out.
I will for sure check that out.
Yeah, it's great. It's so it's about Tony Parker's pretty much just life and career and then post career too. He owns a team in France now, and he's got a lot of good
That's so cool.
business ventures. Yeah, he's doing well for himself, surprisingly. It's crazy. He's got a wife and kids. He's recovered after old Eva.
Yeah, I don't know why he'd ever cheat on her, but
yeah, interesting too, man. He cheated on Eva, and his wife she's okay, but
he just probably thought I'm never gonna get anybody.
It's like a Tiger Woods situation where you're looking at it and you're like, really? Although okay, here's my guess though. Here's my guess with old Tony, because I like Tony. He's a good dude. I think he was immature and couldn't handle. He wanted to be that superstar because he was always the third guy. He had Duncan and Ginobili and Popovich, who's a big star for a coach. So he was kind of in the shadows. This is not the documentary. This is just me riffing here. But I feel like he kind of got okay, I don't want to be in the shadow anymore. I'm going to go date Eva Longoria in her prime. She's a huge Hollywood star. That way it propelled him. He's this big star in tabloids and blah, blah, blah. But then I feel like he got to be where it was all right, I want to be a dad. I want to be a family man. I don't want to be this celebrity anymore. And so I feel like when that happens, these guys are, they don't make the best decisions. And he probably was trying to look for something else and was lost and was all right, this isn't what I want. Because now when you watch the documentary, you really see he is a great, kind of like Kobe too. They have their,
They've
mistakes,
had their issues and mistakes, yeah,
right. And
they're
then
good guys.
I would say Kobe's is a little worse than Tony Parker's, but and then,
allegedly, okay,
allegedly,
nothing happened.
But then you see them as they get older, and it's wow, they really, they're great parents, at least from what we can see. Great, great family members. They're great businessmen. They really figure it out. So,
well, that's cool.
But definitely overall, great documentary. A lot of good interviews too. If you want to see some classic Spur interviews, old Duncan, David Robinson, Bruce Bowen, Popovich. amazed at the amount. Henri, the soccer player.
Ooh, very nice.
He's boys with Tony Parker.
Yeah.
He's
I'll for
in
sure
it.
go check it out then.
Yeah.
They got all my favorite guys in there. So
if you like The Last Dance, which we also talked about a long time ago.
We did.
Check it out because it's very similar in how they did it.
Yeah, definitely we'll go check it out.
Final Shot on Netflix.
All right, perfect then. We got 2 great picks of the week here. We're moving on to the main bulk of the episode. We're diving a little bit back into the world of food and doing a part 2 of our episode that we did on sustainability and food. But this time we're going into the opposite subject area of what we did from last time. So we talked about a lot about the organic, sustainable methods of agriculture and food prep, and it's kind of how it's all the rage, leading to a kind of a new popular lifestyle, if you will, the millennial lifestyle, I like to call it.
I call it the Zac Efron lifestyle.
It's called the Zac Efron lifestyle, which he
coming
is my
up,
boy.
We have a special guest. It's Zac Efron. No, it's
no,
not.
Dang. We do have a cool guest coming up, but that's for later on. But this week we're looking at kind of more of the unsavory and perhaps, unethical methods of food prep and distribution, and talk a little bit about the ethics behind some of the food industry then. So I hope you're ready then, Aaron.
Oh, I'm ready to go.
You better be ready.
Let's do it.
We're kicking the conversation off with something that you sent me, and I was very surprised that this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
Singapore has become the first country in the world to authorize the sale of lab-grown meat, which is I reread this article.
You got to reread the title twice and then reread the article twice. It's like,
yeah,
what?
So they're calling it cultured or clean meat in the food science industry, but it's not a meat alternative. It's meat, I assume, that's grown in a test tube, right? Or
that's what I gathered from
that's
it.
What I gathered from it too.
Trying to wrap my brain around it.
So their whole claim is that this is meat without animal slaughter. It's grown using the cells taken from a live animal and reproducing them in a petri dish. But it's cheaper. It's more humane. It's better for the environment. So if we're talking about sustainable foods,
that's that.
I mean,
that's
right
as
sustainable as it gets. But do you really believe that this is a good thing for the food industry? Because I do not want to eat anything that's grown in a test tube. Well, thank you very much.
I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say it's all right. Yes. I mean, and granted, we don't have a whole lot of studies on this, so before I eat that, I would like to see more countries other than Singapore develop it. But
yeah, I would too, yeah.
I mean, hey, if this moves forward, sure, why not? You eat Impossible burgers and all this trendy, veggie burgers and black bean burgers and all that stuff. To me, that's what it's like. But it to me, it would taste closer to meat even because it's from the cells, So essentially, it's not full-fledged. I mean, obviously, it's going to be different than right off the bone. But if it's healthier and you can make more of it and you can kill less animals, I mean, yeah, and it's definitely cost-effective. I mean,
we talk about like non-GMOs in a lot of the foods and stuff, and
which is hilarious because people don't even know what that means. They're just like, "Oh yeah, I'm on board."
Genetically modified organism. Yeah. I learned that from our last episode, but the whole idea of the organic and I guess sustainable way of life is that whole fresh, vibrant, I guess, local food that's grown very, where it's coming from, what the ingredients are. They can say food companies can say, oh yeah, this is our pure, clean, lab grown chicken or lab grown, bison meat or whatever. But who really knows what's inside of that?
And I think that's the slippery slope you go down because it's like, all right, are we going to get in the trend of, like you said, they're going to throw these words out, people will just accept it, and people will be like, oh yeah, well it's grown in a lab and scientists and da-da-da. And just like GMOs, just like cage-free, just like all these words, looking at you, Chipotle. I love Chipotle. I can't rip on them. But these restaurants that use that, and it's like they just toss these things out. So to me, it could be fantastic. It could be wonderful, and the world's saved because less animals are getting killed. You might see animals be treating better because they're not, packing them into these warehouses and slaughterhouses and that sort of thing. I mean, we've all seen the videos with chickens or pigs or cows and how they're just packed in tight and slaughtered inhumanely. But there's that other side. I mean, that's a perfect world that works out and they're saved. Or there's the other side where nothing changes, and they're still treating animals poorly. They're making food. They're cutting corners. They're making food. People get sick from this. There's all sorts of.
I think it's like the opposite direction. Like, I'm all for science and progression and stuff. You got to push things forward, but in terms of agriculture, it's the opposite way to go about in, I guess, boosting agriculture or the healthy foods that we have. It's so opposite to what I've been told and what I've researched and done on my own too, that maybe it's just so foreign to me. I'm just like, I can't get behind the idea. But
yeah, and I think that's part of it is, it's so weird sounding. But think of how many things they grow diamonds in labs now. Like
that's
they
true.
Grow.
But like, this is something you're ingesting and at some point be eating on a regular basis.
But you really don't know. I mean, and this is a funny thing I find what people do. And I'm not trying to say like I wouldn't be concerned or I wouldn't, have a second thought about it. But I just feel like people, they go eat every type of restaurant, especially fast food restaurants.
Yeah, you don't know really what's in those.
Do you look at where those come from? You don't. And even heck, you go to Five Guys, and they're big on our fries come from here, and they always write the farm it comes from. You don't know that. They could be lying.
Yeah,
like,
they could make that.
Who knows? Like, no one knows.
If there's anything that Kitchen Nightmares has taught me is that you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right. You don't know how they're prepping the food. You don't know. So I worked at Chipotle and a million years ago, and this is not a knock on Chipotle at all. This is just what I saw at my one location, but which happens everywhere, and I'm sure you saw it at good old Ruby Tuesday.
Oh God!
But just they don't properly. I'm not going to say they always don't, but sometimes they don't always teach you the right way or teach you in enough detail how to handle food. You're getting some high school kid in there, and they're like, hey, I just want to go home, wrap the food up, throw it in the freezer, whatever. They're not storing it properly. No. They're not, doing all the things that they need to be taught. And even if they are taught, sometimes people are just lazy and they're just like, whatever. So I think that's the dangers there where you're running into, and people just accept it. And they're just like, oh, yeah, no, it's healthy for you, and it's, the meat's good. And, I mean, you just take it for granted. You're just like, yeah, it's fine, and you ingest it. So
it is a very interesting
new
wave of food that's being not produced mass produced or whatever, but I would assume it's probably going to get pushed off into the public eye in the next couple of years.
Well, that's my only defense of this is, do you really look at where your food's coming from, how your food's being processed, how your food's being handled? I mean, at some point you can't even get these answers.
Right.
So what are you gonna do? Go up to the waiter and be like, "Hey, how'd you handle this?" Like you're not gonna
GMOs in my food,
right? Like you're just gonna eat it, Yeah. So to me, it's like with some of this other stuff, when people hear like lab grown or these are really out there things, it's like, well, we need that though, because otherwise, we're gonna continue these old ways, which might not be the best ways.
Well, it's definitely something to keep on the radar, and it goes to show that we don't always know exactly what's in our food or what we eat, and I think that's partly down to the ignorance or the ignorance is bliss part of being a consumer. Sometimes you just don't want to know, but
and you're hungry and you're just like, I just want to eat, like that's the thing that's funny. Like I've watched some of those shows where they'll show like, well, this is really what's in fast food. Dude, I'd still go to fast food and eat it because I'm just like, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. I want to eat it
good.
Too.
I don't care.
But I think not knowing what's in your food that we eat is why the whole organic and I guess freshly grown, bought type of food is so big right now.
The pesticides and like what they're spraying it with.
Yeah, sometimes the ignorance is bliss as well. But Aaron, you told me actually about this documentary, the Super Size Me 2 one.
Oh, so good.
From Morgan Spurlock actually. So
it's definitely up there with The Final Shot.
Is it? Wow.
It's up there. That's another fantastic. I just get really pumped. I love documentaries.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them I like, but there's certain ones that really, I watch so many I don't remember a lot of them until I see them again or scroll in Netflix. But like this one, I watched and I loved Super Size Me, but it was kind of like, haha, it's funny. He's eating McDonald's. We know McDonald's is bad, so some of it was eye-opening, but I feel like it was like 25% educational, 75% just funny to watch.
This is more of like a hard look into the industry of chicken, how they're raised, how they're treated, I guess, how they're
This one is
produced.
Like full-fledged education. And that's why I like it so much, because it is so eye-opening and it's not just like shock value. I mean, it really teaches you, hey, don't take stuff, like we were talking about, don't take stuff for granted. And how much these companies lie about it, and how much they get away with.
It's terrible.
It's amazing.
Well, big companies like Tyson or Pilgrim's or even McDonald's are always claiming that they have free-range chicken or cage-free chicken or all-white meat or all those kind of buzzwords that get everybody like, oh yeah, totally, that's awesome. But I feel like if they're big name brands, but they freeze the chicken to send it out, so there's got to be some sort of preservatives or some sort of antibiotics or something in there to make sure that it's okay to be frozen for longer periods of time and then reheated in the skillet for 12 minutes.
That's something
and it's
I've
safe.
always wondered, and I continue to eat stuff like that, but I've always wondered where it's like, how long, like when did they kill this chicken? When did they, pick these vegetables? When did, like, you don't know that.
Part of the I used to buy the frozen Tyson chicken strips just because they're easy. The
grocery store,
the grocery store, like $6 or something. But I looked actually on the label of them, and I was like, what is this? It was, I can't remember what the name of it was, but I asked my dad, who's in the food industry, and he was like, oh, this is actually like the ground up chicken bits of it that aren't part of like the main part of where they harvest the chicken meat from. So like, I'm like,
so it's like a
okay,
sausage.
Cool. So I'm like eating, like a hot dog version of chicken or whatever, like the crappy little end bits of it that they just throw in, and I don't know, leftover bits from the grinder or whatever when they cut up the thighs or the chicken breasts and everything. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm eating really right now.
Shout out Mikey D.
I know.
He knows his stuff.
But I think it shows that food labels can be very misleading at times because consumers aren't going to know what some of these crazy scientific names are for a lot of these, like high fructose corn syrup. Like nobody really knows what that actually is.
You just know
it's
bad.
It's another name for sugar, basically, but it's worse than sugar. It immediately goes into fat, and it doesn't even I don't know. It doesn't integrate with like the other parts of your body. It just immediately goes into fat. So like, I thought it was crazy how the documentary kind of looked into like it being like chicken is the most consumed protein in the planet.
Yeah.
I think
it's so easy to get.
Oh yeah, there's like 50 billion chickens that we eat globally every year. That's incredible. 50 billion chickens. Like, I'm surprised that, there's not wanted ads online for chicken farmers or something.
Right.
Like, we need more chicken farmers or something because it's huge. So, and they say, it's labeled as the healthiest protein, but I mean, is it really the healthiest protein, or do they want you to believe that to buy it?
I would think turkey would be healthier.
I guess it depends on the type of chicken that you buy, but you got to get like the boneless, skinless, all
gotta do your research
all white
on
meat, I guess, with it. But I don't know. It was crazy because like those free range chickens doesn't always mean that they're running around in the fields all happy.
Right, that's what you picture. It's awesome marketing.
I picture like them in like the cornfield or in the
they're
sunset,
free.
and they're free. They're just such a happy life, and they go to the slaughterhouse, blissfully unaware of what's happening, but it's not true.
Our cage-free kills me because it's like that really can mean anything. It just means they're not in a cage. That doesn't mean they're not all packed together. Like,
well, they are all packed together.
Right, exactly.
That's what the documentary goes into. It's like they're packed into. They might be not in a cage.
They're literally not in a cage, but so what?
So like they're in a room or like a patch of grass the size of I don't know, a blanket or something.
Right.
There's 50 chickens right up there. So and I wouldn't really consider that the greatest or treatment of that. I don't know.
It doesn't matter at that point. Really it means zero. It's words. That's all you're doing.
One thing I thought was interesting though was that most chickens can't be fed with corn. Because then they would be considered organic chicken, which then drives the price up in order for consumers to buy them or for the big companies to buy them. And so like I think there's like a difference of like $2 or $3 for organic chicken versus like I don't know.
How often chicken. Do you see that?
Organic chicken?
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Exactly. So it's like
you're never seeing that at a restaurant.
No, you're not going to be like, oh, this is an organic chicken or something. That
sounds so funny.
Yeah, but like so then they feed them, I don't know, regular chicken feed or whatever that has steroids or antibiotics or
when they're force feeding them.
Yeah, they're force feeding them. So they go from. Usually takes chickens like a couple months to evolve, or not evolve, mature, I guess. But they're going from like baby chicken to full-fledged fat chicken ready
I just said I got to interrupt because I'm laughing. I just
what are you laughing about? Baby chicken?
No, totally unrelated. I said force feed, and I just saw this GIF. I forget who tweeted this, but they deserve all the credit in the world for tweeting this. So I'll have to find it and give them a shout out because it was so good. They tweeted out there's a GIF of Andy Reid, and he wears a mask, and he's chewing his gum.
Yeah,
and they're like, Andy Reid looks like he's wearing a feeding bag.
That was really random.
It looked like one of those animals, like when you're force feeding them. You put it in the bag and they're. Oh man!
Wow! No shortage of entertainment here on this podcast.
That just like popped in my brain and it won't leave. So
maybe Andy Reid is an organic chicken.
I think so.
Who knows?
He's eating corn in there.
Corn feed and everything.
Like Mahomes, give me more. You see Mahomes like remember when Marshawn Lynch used to eat Skittles on the sidelines?
Yes.
Like Mahomes has like a packet of corn. He's just
the sunflower seeds are.
He's
fattening.
dumping it into his mask.
They're fattening Andy Reid up to.
I'm not gonna be able to watch a Super Bowl the same way
off
now.
The chicken house. So, oh man, but no. Back to the actual conversation at hand. So, like, the documentary is really good at just going into the industry and taking looks at how these animals are being treated and how they're actually raised in order to be, I guess, I don't know, slaughtered and fed to us then or sold to us too.
Well, and the lack of knowledge, the lack of transparency between these companies, and too the lack of transparency where how terrible the farmers, like the local farmers, are being treated from these giant corporations. How they're treating them, it's and how they're like, putting them out of their jobs. I mean, it's insane. So I think too that's the really eye-opening thing is just how all the way around, because I think the way they're treating the chickens has always been, PETA's been a big thing with that, and
meat is murder and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So I feel like that's always kind of been in the spotlight, but then there's this even worse background of it where human beings are being affected, both as the farmers, the people raising these chickens are being affected, and the consumers where they're essentially being lied to, but also the consumers aren't even really researching it because it's hard to do research. It's hard to find out about it.
It's very difficult, yeah.
So then they just have to accept it and be like, okay, well, you gave me this lip service. I guess it's good.
I think you have to be some sort of cognitively aware of what you're purchasing, what you're putting into your body. Don't just like randomly go out and be like, oh, it's fine. I'm not going to... You have to look into some of these things as well. Like if you're wanting to lead a healthy lifestyle, then, take note and research what you're eating and where you're purchasing it from too.
Well, I would say compare and contrast, because that's when you'll really find the differences, and then you'll start piecing together. Okay, this doesn't add up, or this came from here at this time.
You know what really gets me though is when the food commercials come on and like that burger looks so good.
Okay.
Or the chicken looks incredibly juicy and everything.
I am so
and
frustrated at that. First of all, there's too many ads in general.
Yeah.
But like, I'm so frustrated how you watch sports and like, I mean, it's
one
everything.
More ad for a stupid Domino's cheesy stuffed crust pizza.
Every sport. It's Domino's, it's Jersey Mike's, it's Burger King. Oh my God, the Burger King ads are just relentless. McDonald's. It's out of control. It's insane. It's like, insane. Dude, I'm trying to watch sports and like, get inspired to go work out.
Right.
And then I'll watch those ads and it's like they're throwing this garbage in your face. And then I want it, because I keep seeing it. And it's just like,
You ever notice how like they look so good on TV though, but they're not? They don't look like that in real life or anything though. Like a lot of the times, there's food stylists and stuff that actually come in and
you see the tomato with the water droplets on it.
Yeah, but like their job is to use random other types of products to make the food look good. So like I was watching a documentary and they use motor oil for the pancake syrup that they put on for like Denny's or IHOP or whatever. It's not, and the pancakes are cardboard. They're airbrushed and stuff. Yeah, and
it's not real food.
It's not even real food. Or like they paint the grill marks.
Yeah,
on the
that was
burgers.
in Super Size Me too.
Yeah,
they were painting the grill marks, and it's like they didn't even grill this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, so you as a consumer, you really got to be aware. Like, don't fall into the trap of, wow, that looks so good because it's not even real food that you're looking at.
After I watched Super Size Me 2, I started looking whenever I would get like a chicken sandwich or, grilled chicken or anything, especially at like fast food restaurants, I would always peel the sandwich off and look at my food.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
Oh,
they're all doing this. Like, you can tell. They're like, no, they didn't grill this. Or like, those aren't real grill marks. Like, they are so fake.
It's really, really bad.
And it's unbelievable the different restaurants that do it.
Right. And I think the ethical question comes into is how much is too much, I guess, or how much are you willing to let slide for the mistreatment of animals or the preservatives put in certain types of food or the misleading information on these food labels. Do you ethically have a obligation to avoid companies that do that or sell products to you?
I would say so, because otherwise you're not going to see anything change.
That's true.
Because why should it? These companies are here to make money. That's all they're trying to do. So I think the consumers, and I think we've seen it with this trend of, these fast food restaurants having healthy options, having salad, having these other things on their menu because there was pushback, because consumers are like, hey, obesity and these things like that. Which, I mean, to me, it's like, well, just don't eat at the restaurant if it's making you fat.
But I think there's an ethical question, like when it comes to the marketing to children too. Yeah. Like, should the marketing of these high fat, sugar, carbs, whatever it is, be a little bit more tightly controlled too? Because you've got kids who sometimes are influenced by all the sugary cereal that they see, or all of the promotions that they see for food, and then, when they become more teenagers, they have a little bit more leeway or a little more freedom. Yeah, they're just I'm going to eat whatever I want. Time. So I think you have to be ethically aware of that, and it's good that some schools or restaurants or stuff offer very healthy alternatives, but there's a lot of room to grow, I guess, in that. Yeah, room for improvement, I should say.
I don't know how much. I just get scared with like regulations and stuff, because I think that you can take it too far. And like I said, these businesses they're out there to make money, and more power to them. I'm not on the side of the fence where I think they're these evil, like they're trying to.
No, they're not like.
I get it.
Sitting in a room and like, how can we control the world or something?
But like they're
sometimes they cut corners though.
Sure, and I think it is on them, where it's like you gotta to watch it. Watch the ethical corners are cutting, or like you said, just the amount they're promoting to kids. I think, or just to people in general, it can get a little too much. It's overwhelming. But I think too, it's like it's on the consumer to do their due diligence, to look at it a little more, to watch documentaries like Super Size Me 2 or other ones that call these things out, and then to be educated on it and say, okay, no, because ultimately it's on you. Like, all the power in the world of vegetarians are like, hey, I don't like killing animals. I don't think it's good. And they just don't eat it. And that, to me, because they've done their research, and whereas people... It's the same thing for the consumer. You're cutting corners by being lazy and not looking into your food, not looking into where it comes from, not looking into how animals are treating, whatever you want to pick. So you can say the businesses are being lazy and cutting corners. Well, so are the consumers at the end of the day too.
Yeah, I think it's a quid pro quo type of thing. You got to be able to have education.
I don't speak Latin.
Damn it. But let me ask you a question here. So where do you fit on the side of the containers that the foods are put in? Do you think that the containers should be more biodegradable for more environmentally friendly, or I don't know?
I think styrofoam.
That's a big
styrofoam
debate.
Is awesome. So I get so pumped when I go somewhere. So shout out Fifth Street Pizza in Allen, Texas. If you're ever in Allen, Texas, go to Fifth Street Pizza. But they have styrofoam, and I'm so happy. I get pumped up when I see businesses because almost no one has styrofoam. But like, man, they keep your drinks so cold. It's great.
They do.
You don't even need ice.
They're not environmentally the greatest, I guess.
Yeah,
there's so many of like the, I guess, fast food products or like, wrappers and plastic and all that.
One thing I will say, get rid of those dumb plastic rings that like pop comes in.
Oh, those are bad.
Birds get stuck in them.
I've seen those forever.
Turtles get
like,
stuck in them.
The fishes
They're
and
still
turtles
doing
and
that.
stuff.
I saw that in like elementary school.
Yeah.
And they were like, and this stuck with me. They were like, cut those up when you throw them away because look at this picture of this poor little bird. He's got his beak, so sad. And so I always cut those up. But like, dude, it's 2021. Why are we still using those?
But is there an ethical concern for more companies to start using more biodegradable types of containers and stuff? Even if it costs them maybe a little bit more money, I think there has to be a concern and need to look into that kind of stuff.
I think
at least research into it.
I would argue that it will help your business because you can use that. I mean, this is kind of crappy. Like, you shouldn't use it just to prop yourself up, but you can use it and say, hey, and we've seen plenty of companies do this. Look how green we are. Look how much we care about the environment. And we can, we use biodegradable and recyclable and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, is it really good for the environment? I don't know, because people have probably thrown this stuff that they should be recycling in the garbage anyway.
True. But I think some of the biodegradable stuff, though, it goes away in the trash heap or whatever.
So I would say yes, like they should, because it's just the right thing to do, but also because you can use that as a marketing ploy at the end of the day. So it's kind of a win-win. But I love styrofoam cups. So.
I mean, I don't think styrofoam cups are going to go away anytime soon. Good. But maybe they'll make biodegradable styrofoam cups.
They can get rid of the styrofoam, like the to-go boxes. They can get rid of those. I don't need those.
I mean,
just keep the styrofoam cups.
All right. Well, I'll make sure to contact all the big companies in the world and make sure that they keep the styrofoam cups for you, Aaron.
Good.
Keep your drinks cold.
Call your senators. Tell them.
No, I think it's an interesting topic because we'll end the podcast on this one here. I was watching Down to Earth yesterday.
Great show.
Zac Efron, and he was in.
You haven't finished it by now?
I'm like.
That was my pick of the week like a year ago.
I've picked different episodes, and so I'm going back through and like watching the episodes that
I did that. I was hopping around, and there's only like 12 episodes. There's not that many.
10 or 11 or something.
And like I did that, and I'm like, man, why did I do this? Like, I'm going to watch all these. Like,
I should have just gone in order. So like, the one I hadn't watched was he was in Sardinia. And it's in Italy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. He talks to the old guy?
Yeah, so it's like one of the only spots in the world where it has like the most amount of centurions or people who've lived into their hundreds per capita as compared to everywhere else. And so like I thought it was interesting because he talked about the relationship with food and how regulated some of his diets were and how they live and eat food is the opposite of what he's eaten and approached, food intake for his life.
Right.
It was all protein and low carbs and stuff, and it was the exact opposite over there, which I thought was incredible too. Like they eat a high carb diet, low protein diet, but it's all very fresh, and they know where the ingredients are coming from, and they make it themselves. So I thought that was really interesting. Like, if you're concerned about the types of food that you eat or, where it's coming from, then
go to Sardinia.
Have a good relationship, I guess, with the food that you eat. I mean, I don't know, home cook your meals or do a little herb garden out and do a little vegetable garden.
Well, I would say, too, like really think about what you like. I feel like people don't do that often enough. They just eat to eat. And if you really take the time and think, what foods do I truly enjoy and only eat those, I think that's a great start.
I think so, too.
Because a lot of people, I always do this with fast food. I know fast food's bad for me. I know there's, controversy and all this stuff about it. So the only places I eat fast food, I pretty much make a list. I have a top 3 or 4. I don't even know if it's that high, to be honest, anymore. I only eat those. I don't really venture out. And there's other ones I completely cut out. I refuse to eat no matter what. Even if I'm on a road trip and I'm hungry, I just won't eat it because it's like that's not worth it to me. You know,
right? Yeah,
I'm gonna feel bad about myself, and I'm not gonna enjoy it, and it's bad for it's not worth it.
No, and I think there's such a huge discourse for people who are like, oh yeah, I feel so guilty for eating that entire pizza, but I did it anyway, and like. I don't think you should.
It's my problem.
Don't eat an entire pizza in one sitting, but don't feel guilty for indulging in things because then they like make up for it, later on. Like they don't eat anything, or they eat like they don't have the right nutrition balance and everything. So the whole thing from the episode was, have a good relationship with your food and know where it's coming from, and just do everything in moderation, so to speak. But
that's really the key to life. Just everything in moderation.
Life, though. But it was a really, really great episode, and it was just like, it was so cool to just see like how these people lived and where this food came from, and like they were so happy because like they made it themselves.
Yeah,
there's such a labor of love, as they call it, for cooking,
right?
And it's a lot of work to cook a meal, like a really good meal. But you take a lot of pride in that, and
I feel like you're really going to enjoy it because it's like making money. Mm-hmm. If someone gives you money, you're just going to go blow it because it's like whatever.
True.
But if you make the money, especially doing a hard job, I don't care what the job is, you're really going to be like, do I really need this?
Right.
And you're going to spend it better, and you're going to take more pride in how you do that because you earned it, you worked for it. And I think same with food, where you're really going to think more about what you're eating, why you're eating it, just all those questions are going to be answered.
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to waste it. You don't want it to, you don't want your hard work to, you want to really enjoy it.
One thing that I've been started doing actually for 2021 is sitting down and having like a Sunday meal. That's always something we did in my family before.
You didn't eat on Sundays?
No, we always made a family Sunday meal. So we'd sit down around the table, no phones, no TVs, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And my mom and my dad would make a home-cooked meal, and we'd always sit around and do that. So that's something that I've been trying to do these last few Sundays, is sit down and make a full meal, and whether it be with my girlfriends or I don't know, whenever I see my parents and everything, is to keep doing that. And I did make a great meal a couple weeks ago. I made some New York strip steaks with some potatoes and some vegetables and everything. And
this guy,
I was
chef.
I was so proud of myself because like, this is amazing. I love strip steaks, but I also feel proud that I've made the meal. I know where the food's coming from too, and so I didn't feel bad for indulging in an entire steak,
right?
And a glass of wine or two, and some little bit of dessert afterwards. So
what'd you have for dessert?
I had some chocolate cake.
Did you make the chocolate cake?
I did not make the chocolate cake.
Cheater.
I know. Can't have everything though. But
you made a steak, so that's good.
I made the steak, but so that's the episode then. So if you liked what we talked about in today's episode, let's continue the conversation. What's your relationship with food? Do you care where the food comes from? Is there an ethical obligation to consume foods that are better for the environment or come from a better place? Let us know what your thoughts are as well, and let's continue the conversation. Hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, every social media we've got, and let us know. Check out our Twitter at Weekendology Pod. Check out our sports handle at Weekendology Sports. And our entertainment handle, where, Aaron?
At Weekendology ENT.
At Weekendology ENT as well. We've got a YouTube channel. Check us out at Weekendology Podcast. Facebook is live and running too. You can check out our last episode where we talk about how if live sports are becoming boring. Another one of our 58 other episodes.
After watching football last weekend, I'm reversing course on that one.
Well, those football games were exciting.
So. But fans were at them, so.
That's true.
Also, there was not 9,000 fans at the Packers game. They allowed so many people into that game. They're a bunch of liars.
There was a lot
Green
of fans
Bay,
in all of the stands that
liars.
I've seen, so I don't know who's breaking protocol, but
the last weekend was just a fantastic sports weekend.
It was pretty good.
Conor McGregor fight, football, 2 great football games.
Yeah, but I think
I guess the Bills and Chiefs wasn't a great football game, but it was okay.
The episode will tell you this, but just means that there's not a ton of competition on the same day. And it's spread out evenly, which is how it should be. So, but go check out that episode too.
You can email us too.
You can email at us. We're at weekendologypodcast@gmail.com. If you feel so obliged, you can send us a note, and we'll feature you on the podcast then.
That's all it takes these days?
That's all it takes.
Wow.
Just send us a note.
Look at that.
We'll have you on.
That's all you have to do.
We'll have a great conversation, and you'll be a part of history.
It's true.
It's true.
You get on a podcast, you're in history forever.
You are in. Well, unless Apple somehow goes bankrupt, those podcasts aren't going away. So,
That's true.
But yeah. Check us out. We're on YouTube, around Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts. We've got new episodes every Friday, so thanks for tuning in this week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next time.